Number 10. Daredevil. First appearing in his own comic in 1964, Matt Murdock has been on the beat as long as any of them. His father was a boxer who raised Matt alone and wanted his son to be successful, pushing him to become educated and setting him on the path to becoming a lawyer. One day, a truck crash results in a radioactive isotope splashing out into his eyes, blinding him. He awoke in the hospital to find all his other senses were now amplified to a superhuman degree. Daredevil is a great street level hero, striking an awesome balance by kicking butt on the streets and in the courtroom. Narratively, it also makes for some great storytelling opportunities. We all love a little courtroom drama. Sometimes called the man without fear, Daredevil is able to detach from emotions like fear in a way that is almost sociopathic. He can detect minute changes in the temperature and air around him, and also benefits from superhuman agility, enhanced endurance, and peak human speed. There are many testaments to Daredevil's power. He has an extremely high pain tolerance and an indomitable will, making him immune to telepathy and mind control.
Next on the list we have Jean-Paul Valley, someone who wanted to be Batman but didn't really believe in the whole "I'm not gonna kill people" thing. Jean-Paul Valley was trained by the Order, a spin-off group from the Knights Templar, who has trained some of the most dangerous people in history. Jean-Paul Valley was commissioned by Batman to take the mantle of Dark Knight because Bruce Wayne's back was broken, but this guy took it a little too far and would brutalize every criminal that he found. Eventually, Batman had to come back and take him out. Since then, Jean-Paul has gone through a ton of iterations, even becoming a Black Lantern at one point. But now he has fallen into the role of hero, and anyone who has been trained by Batman is a serious force on the streets.
Number 8. Misty Knight. Nicknamed Misty, Mercedes Knight is a human cyborg hero and leader of the Defenders. Danny Rand, aka Iron Fist, is her ex-fiance. She was a police officer who lost her arm in a bombing and caught Tony Stark's attention. Tony built her a bionic arm and she quit the NYPD after being relegated to a desk job after that incident. She starts a private investigation business and works alongside Colleen Wing. They also team up with Luke Cage and Iron Fist. She was once roommates with Jean Grey and was one of the 142 registered superheroes who were a part of the Avengers Initiative. She has mad detective skills and is an expert marksman, but is most notably known for her powerful bionic arm, which is upgraded multiple times throughout her story. Her arm has been used to hack and control robots, shoot concussive blasts, produce an energy shield, and even been used as a grappling hook. Number 7. Iron Fist. Danny Rand was the son of a wealthy businessman named Wendell Rand. He seems like a normal dude who gets married and has a son named Danny, but he's actually from the city of the Immortals, Kunlun. He was driven out by his brother when the two were quarreling over a woman's love, but later in life he seeks to return. When he does return, his son Danny comes along with him, and after his father dies, Danny is trained by Lei Kung, the Thunderer. After years of intense martial arts training, Danny earns the chance to gain the power of the Iron Fist. He battles to prove himself, fighting against a giant fire-breathing serpent guarding a brazier containing its heart. And upon his victory, he picks up the heart and is imbued with the quasi-mystical force known as the Iron Fist. He returns to America to take vengeance for his father's death, and has been pounding the pavement ever since. He is already a highly trained and extremely powerful warrior, but by harnessing and summoning the spiritual energy or Chi, he reaches superhuman levels of power. Not only does he benefit from Chi enhanced durability, reflexes, and so on, but he also has some unique powers you might not know of. He is capable of mind meld, using his power to fuse consciousness with another person. He can channel Chi energy to heal himself or others, and uses Chi enhanced senses to strike specific pressure points with pinpoint accuracy. He is exceptionally powerful, and through ongoing training and study of the Book of the Iron Fist, it's possible that he could become even stronger.
Next on the list we got Lady Shiva, a story of revenge turned to anguish, turned into a life of fighting crime. Such are the struggles of a hero. People love to get revenge on those who wronged them. Lady Shiva grew up thinking that the previous hero on this list, Richard Dragon, killed her sister. She hated his guts, and she knew that there was one way that she could quell the beast inside her that wanted revenge, and that was getting revenge. I think you guys could have figured that one out yourself. Well, Lady Shiva, also known as Sandra Wooson, would dedicate her life to training in martial arts so she could one day be strong enough to take down the man who killed her sister. Eventually, she was one of the most deadly martial artists around and set up a trap for Richard Dragon, but things didn't go as planned. They got into a scuffle and Richard was able to reveal to her that he never killed her sister. In a way, this kind of broke her. Her whole purpose was to kill this dude, and now she had no reason to kill him. So she decided to team up with him them and take on the world of crime and become a deadly crime fighter.
Number 5. Shang-Chi. Also referred to as Marvel's Bruce Lee, Shang-Chi is a master of Kung Fu. His father was an immortal sorcerer and crime lord named Fu Manchu, and he raised Shang to be a deadly assassin. He trained with various masters, learning alchemy, and even absorbed fighting techniques in his sleep through virtual reality. After his first assignment, however, he realized his father was evil and faked his own death, seeking to take down his father's criminal empire. He was a part of the Marvel Knights, and he later joined the Heroes for Hire. When Spider-Man lost his spider sense, it was Shang-Chi who helped him to train to compensate for it, creating a new fighting style called the Way of the Spider, with short-range attacks targeting nerve clusters and pressure points. Shang is a master fighter who has fought the Iron Fist to a stalemate. He is a skilled marksman, proficient with a variety of weapons, and has full control over his own nervous system. He is also an expert at finding pressure points, expert at philosophy, and a skilled fisherman, showing remarkable patience. He wields a pair of metallic nunchucks designed by Stark that can discharge repulsor blasts upon impact. Number 4. Luke Cage. Born and raised in Harlem, New York City, Luke spent his life causing trouble and eventually joining a gang. When one of his old buddies plants drugs in his home and tips off the police, he winds up sent to jail, and while in prison is consumed by hatred and rage. He spends his time getting into brawls and attempting to escape for the most part. When Dr. Noah Burstein is using inmates at the prison as test subjects, Luke is selected and immersed in an electro-biochemical system. The system gets tampered with and overloads, enhancing Luke's entire body and giving him unbreakable skin and super strength. He uses these abilities to escape from prison and return to Harlem, designing a costume and becoming a hero for hire, the title of the comic he premieres in. He is seriously powerful, eventually becoming strong enough to lift 50 tons. With a body as hard as titanium, he is also resistant to bullets, explosions, or falls from extreme height.
Next on the list we got Jason Todd. Jason Todd, also known as the Red Hood, didn't have the easiest transition into the Bat family. He was a troubled kid forced to steal just to survive, who was scooped up by Batman and brought into a life of hero work. Being the new Robin should have been the best thing that ever happened to him, right? Well, not true. He died. And it was something that the fans voted for, which is kind of messed up. But after the Jason Todd Robin was killed, we see someone show up on the scene who knows many of Batman's tricks, loves to use guns, and goes by the name the Red Hood. Who could this be? Well, it was Jason Todd coming back from the dead. Eventually, he would regain his sanity and stop trying to kill Batman, but he would keep his cool new getup. With Jason being the least skilled in acrobatics compared to the other members of the Bat family, he relies on grit and brute force to take down his enemies, and every now and again he'll pull out a gun, which is something I've always thought would work well with the utility belt.
And coming at number 2, Wolverine. One of the most tragic and conflicted badasses ever. Wolverine probably should have been on part 1 of this list. Wolverine is a Canadian mutant with an adamantium skeleton and bone claws, a nearly indestructible super soldier. Also known as Logan, he is one of the most prominent members of the X-Men, and possibly one of the most tortured characters in Marvel history. We could honestly do a whole list of ways Wolverine has died. Horribly. Only to be returned thanks to his healing factor. Seriously, Wolverine has even survived an atomic bomb. He has one of the most powerful healing factors ever, and is immune to all contaminants. He has superhuman senses and abilities. Superhuman everything, from sight and smell to speed and strength. Wolverine is one of the world's most skilled trackers because of this. He is also a master martial artist, a weapons expert, and an expert in assassination techniques. And here we are at number 1, Spider-Man. Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man is a fan favorite, webbing up criminals and leaving them for the cops to pick up. He won't kill people, but he will sling a sewer grate or a mailbox directly at your head. The death of his Uncle Ben teaches Spider-Man that his power comes with responsibility, and he is undoubtedly one of the most powerful street-level heroes. He handles the responsibility well, going up against some serious dudes and never giving up. Spider-Man is loved by many, but the actual limits of his power are largely unexplored. It's been said that Spider-Man has to pull his punches, as his super strength would splatter goons all over the wall if he didn't ease up on them. He has an indomitable will with incredible pain tolerance. He can lift up to 10 tons, an amount that has actually increased since it was originally stated. Spidey has a gifted intellect and is a master hand-to-hand fighter, having trained with Captain America in the past. He also greatly benefits from his spider sense, alerting him to danger in a way that, combined with his agility, makes him incredibly difficult to even land a hit on. Number 10. Gambit. Also known as Remy LeBeau, he was born with burning red eyes and was kidnapped from the hospital by members of the Thieves Guild of New Orleans. Later, he's adopted by their leader. Hoping to strike an alliance with the Assassins Guild, they set Gambit up in an arranged marriage, which falls through when the bride's brother challenges him to a duel. He kills the brother and is banished from New Orleans in an attempt to maintain the alliance. He wanders the world using his thief skills and mutant powers to charge objects with energy and get into all kinds of trouble. Gambit has a multitude of abilities, including molecular acceleration, which allows him to charge items with energy, usually playing cards. His energy and vibration-based abilities allow for accelerated regeneration and enhanced conditioning. He's not the most powerful hero, but he would definitely beat you in a game of street dice. Number 9. Moon Knight. Also known as Mark Spector, he was left for dead on a mercenary mission in Egypt, where he was spared by the moon god Khonshu, who saved him and gave him moon-based superpowers. He fights crime in the US and lives a life of multiple identities, most notably Stephen Grant, the financier, and Jake Lockley, a cab driver persona he uses to collect information. It doesn't get any more street level than that. His childhood trauma mixed in with the multiple personas causes him some serious troubles, but Moon Knight is still a powerful street level Marvel hero. He is arguably a bit higher than street level, but he still has a serious penchant for fighting crime in the streets. He is a master marksman, weapons expert, master martial artist, including former boxing champion, and much more. He's even gone toe-to-toe with the Punisher in the past, and it's been said that Moon Knight suffers from a madness so powerful it can only be described as magic.
Next on the list we got Catman. What would Batman look like if he had a feline theme? Or what would Catwoman look like if she was born a dude? Well, it might look a lot like Catman. At first glance, this might look like the weakest attempt at making a Batman clone. You literally changed one letter, but it makes sense because Catman actually started out as a villain. He had a massive white tiger named Rasputin and seemed like he wanted to beat Batman at his own game. The guy has amazing tracking skills with a keen sense of smell. He is a world-class martial artist, he's an Olympic level athlete, and he has a utility belt just like Batman. I feel like this guy might have a love-hate relationship with Batman. But then the character kind of fell off. There was an era where the writers turned him into a washed-up nobody who was overweight and lost his drive to be any sort of villain. Then he bounced back and was revitalized into an anti-hero, taking out crime on his terms, and he even became a member of the mysterious group known as the Secret Six. This guy had one hell of a comeback story, and I forgot to mention that he also has razor-tipped gauntlets to simulate claws. He is really committing to the bit. I love it. Also, if this dude punches you with those things, it's an instant kill, probably.
Number 7. Colleen Wing. Also known as the Lady Samurai, Colleen was raised by her grandfather in Japan, in the mountains of northern Honshu. Her grandfather, Kenji Ozawa, lost all his other children in World War II, and trained his surviving grandchild in the arts of the samurai. Colleen lives in New York, and was once saved from death by a police officer named Misty Knight, and the two became best friends, later working as private detectives for Nightwing Restorations Inc. She was once kidnapped by Master Khan and brainwashed into killing Iron Fist, but Iron Fist later arrives and frees her from control by bridging their minds. Colleen is quite powerful, able to focus her chi to achieve exceptional strength, or enter a Zen trance, allowing her to heal faster and resist temperature extremes. She even dated Cyclops once, while Jean Grey was presumed dead. Not really sure what she saw in him, but luckily she's saved from that awful romance when Jean Grey returns. Number 6. Elektra. First appearing in Daredevil number 168 in 1981, Elektra was born on a Greek island and lost her mother when enemies of her father shot up the family's yacht. She grew close to her father but suffered from visions and heard voices. Eventually, her father puts her into therapy where she gains some stability, later training and excelling in martial arts. They come to America, where her father is a Greek ambassador to the US, and she attends Columbia University. She has a couple of exciting run-ins with Daredevil, and eventually the two fall in love and start training together. She has had a bit of a back and forth and been a little evil at times, but she's done a fair bit of crime fighting and is a very skilled assassin. She has the uncanny ability to throw her mind into the minds of others, sniffing them out, so to speak. She has demonstrated telekinetic abilities in the past, including telepathic communication. She has a mind shield as well to keep herself hidden from other telepaths. She might not have the usual super strength and durability, but she is a master of stealth, weapons, and marksmanship.
Next on the list we got Helena Wayne. There have been a few renditions of Huntress over the years, and everyone has their own favorite, but I think mine would have to be Helena Wayne. Because something I really love about comics is when you spend years building something up and give fans exactly what they want. Like in Kingdom Come, you have all the versions of Flash formed into one super Flash. That's huge fan service, and I feel the same way about Helena Wayne. She is the daughter of both Catwoman and Batman. I mean, firstly, it was about time those two lovebirds hitched up and broke the sexual tension that had been building between them for years. But on top of all of that, how do you make a more badass person than by mixing two of the best street level heroes who have ever lived? Helena Wayne of course sports the famous Huntress crossbow and rides around on a killer motorcycle.
Number 4. Hit Monkey. You heard me correctly. Hit Monkey lived in the mountains with a clan of monkeys who took in an injured assassin, and the group of monkeys nursed him back to health. Hit Monkey disagreed with this, knowing someone would eventually come to look for the assassin. He studied the assassin's ways and is eventually exiled for becoming violent with his fellow monkeys. Later, a group of soldiers does show up, and Hit Monkey is proven correct. They kill his entire clan and the assassin. Hit Monkey picks up the assassin's pistols and begins a quest for vengeance. Guided by the spirit of the deceased assassin, Hit Monkey goes on an epic crusade with a duffel bag full of guns. At one point, he disguises himself as a young boy, the ring bearer at a wedding. One of his greatest advantages is his enemies refuse to believe a monkey assassin could be real and is coming after them. He has exceptional fighting skills and has near human intellect. Definitely smarter than the average monkey. Number 3. Ghost Rider. Johnny Blaze is super hardcore and largely underrated, likely due to how over the top the character is. The son of a famous stuntman, Johnny made a deal with a demon and now has the power to control hellfire and revenge upon evildoers with his signature penance stare. Ghost Rider has been around, once working alongside Black Widow and Hercules and becoming a team known as the Champions. In human form, Johnny has no special powers really, but as Ghost Rider, he is supernaturally enhanced to a ridiculous level. Ghosty has some superhuman strength, stamina, and can regenerate near instantaneously. The Hulk once shattered his skull with a punch, and the Rider just grew a new one instantly. He can look into souls and eat the sins of degenerates, leaving them emotionless. He can identify supernatural forces around him and can manipulate hellfire in numerous ways. He wields a mystic chain capable of changing length and cutting through anything, and sometimes also wields the Hellfire shotgun. Ghost Rider has some pretty crazy, epic demon stuff going on with his storylines, but being a biker, his home is still the streets.
Next on the list we have Black Canary, the wielder of the famous Canary Cry. That is one of the most powerful superhero moves ever, able to take down some of the strongest adversaries and even destroy entire buildings. She is one of the strongest street level crime fighters around. Not every street level crime fighter is able to work their way up to being a member of the Justice League, and she comes from a line of people who want to see justice in the world. Dina's mother was the original Black Canary, and even though her mom didn't want her daughter running around trying to fight crime, because what parent wants their kid to go into a line of work that has very little pay and a high chance of them getting murdered, but she did it anyways and became one of the most famous members of the DC universe. Also, her father was a cop, so crime fighting is really in her blood. It wouldn't make sense if Dina didn't have the urge to clean up the streets. Outside of her insanely strong sonic scream, she is also a very skilled martial artist. She was trained by the famous Wildcat. And to add a little extra emotion to the relationship between her and Wildcat, he was also the one who trained Dina's mom. He loves to produce some badass crime fighting ladies.
And coming in at number 1, Squirrel Girl. First appearing in 1991, her name is Doreen Green. Her story is ridiculous and I love it. At a science demonstration, she was bitten by a radioactive squirrel. Nah, I'm just messing around. She was actually born with a modification in her genes that gave her squirrel-like abilities, including talking with squirrels. She meets a little critter named Monkey Joe who encourages her to use her abilities to help people, causing her to fantasize about being a hero and coming up with the alias the Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. Man, you really gotta be confident to put unbeatable in your name. She ambushes Iron Man one day, like not attacking him, she just shows up, hoping to impress him and become his sidekick, but Iron Man politely declines. Later, he is subdued by Dr. Doom, and Squirrel Girl comes along to rescue him, using her powers to summon a squirrel army which attacks Dr. Doom and his ship, climbing all over the ship, chewing up his wires and stuff. She is a part of the Great Lakes Avengers and has some pretty weird powers, including superhuman jaw strength that allows her to chew through steel in a matter of seconds. She has night vision, superhuman strength, healing factor, and more. She regularly breaks the fourth wall as well and is literally unbeatable, having taken on Thanos, Wolverine, and even Kraven the Hunter in the past.
Coming in at number 10, we have Wildcat, someone who's been working behind the scenes with heroes for years. He isn't the most famous of the street level brawlers, but he has trained the likes of Black Canary, Batman, and some of the Robins, and many other heroes. He was a champion boxer who was framed for the murder of one of his friends. For a while the police were after him, but eventually he was able to sneak away and don the mask of Wildcat. Through this he was able to track down the man responsible for framing him for murder and clear his name. After this he would work with the Justice League for decades, bringing up some of the best heroes of all time.
Number 9. Blade. First appearing in The Tomb of Dracula in 1973, Eric Brooks was born in a horror movie scene. A vampire doctor feasted on his mother as she gave birth, passing on tainted enzymes that caused Eric to become a half vampire, with a whole host of vampire abilities, but none of the usual weaknesses. After his mother's death, he was raised at Madame Vanity's brothel, later meeting Jamal Afari and becoming his student, learning all there is to know about fighting and killing vampires. He fashioned himself into a vampire hunter and named himself Blade. He has sharp vampire teeth, casts no reflection, and he's an exceptional fighter, having been affiliated with many teams of heroes in the past. In his big debut, he went up against Dracula, later taking on Doppelganger and at one point joining the Night Stalkers. He has superhuman senses, strength, and speed. He's a master martial artist and weapons expert with a regenerative healing factor and immunity to the usual vulnerabilities vampires have, making him a real threat to go up against. He doesn't turn into a swarm of bats and fly around though. That would be pretty cool. Number 8. Jessica Jones. Jessica was in a car accident as a child and spent months in a coma. During the crash, her family was killed and she was exposed to radioactive chemicals. She gains powers after her coma, including strength, durability, and flight. She's been a superhero, a detective, and a vigilante. She just can't get enough of kicking the crap out of criminals. She has a storied street-level past, fighting alongside heroes like Luke Cage, Captain Marvel, and Daredevil. Jessica is a cool, grounded type of hero, but is still seriously powerful. On top of the basic stuff, she also has accelerated healing, superhuman longevity, and telepathic resistance.
Next on the list we have Richard Dragon. Back in the 1970s, martial arts were all the rage. Bruce Lee made everyone want to start kung fu fighting, as the famous song says. Well, this spread into almost every form of media, with both DC and Marvel creating the respective versions of martial arts masters. For DC, one of those characters was Richard Dragon. Richard starts off as a thief. He doesn't want to hurt anyone, but you know what? You gotta pay the bills. Well, one day he's confronted by a security guard while trying to pull off a heist, and the dude manhandles him, throws him around like a little baby. And then he has Richard on the ground before he can think twice about trying to escape. Luckily for him, the security guard saw the good in Richard and offered him to come train and learn the ways of kung fu rather than going to jail. A shot at redemption. Over the next few years, Richard would train and learn the ways of martial arts and become a master. Through this process, it would be revealed that he truly does have a heart of gold, and he only turns to using his honed martial abilities when he has no other options.
Number 6. Night Thrasher. Also known as Dwayne Taylor, this skateboarding super is definitely street. His father was a soldier, part of a military unit that discovered the Temple of Dragon's Breath, home to an evil sorceress named Tai, who has his parents killed using mind control. She clouded Dwayne's mind so that he wouldn't remember who killed his parents, and then she took him in, manipulating him into becoming a weapon against crime. Dwayne is affiliated with the New Warriors and is definitely a powerful dude. He is an excellent gymnast, acrobat, and martial artist, as well as a skilled hacker and weapons designer. His original costume design included a bulletproof skateboard and a hidden machine gun. He has an epic battle armor suit as well, with a whole bunch of gadgets including a laser sword, napalm gel, smoke capsules, incendiary packs, and more. Number 5. The Punisher. Frank Castle first appeared in 1974 and quickly became everyone's favorite badass. An Italian-American and decorated former US Marine, you don't want to be on this guy's bad side. When his wife and children are gunned down by the mafia for witnessing a hit, he becomes a vigilante dedicated to destroying organized crime. Rich criminals may laugh at the law and bend it to their will, but they don't laugh at the Punisher. Frank Castle makes a serious vigilante, using combat experience, guerrilla warfare, and detective skills to track down and execute his targets. He's had an uneasy alliance with Spider-Man in the past, and once butted heads with Daredevil. He is in peak physical condition, a seasoned veteran in multiple forms of combat. He's an interrogation master, an expert pilot, and has an indomitable will, having even resisted telepathic control in the past. He has an incredible arsenal of weapons and equipment. I could literally do an entire video on the Punisher's various weapons and technology. Fun fact, the Punisher is actually based on a character called the Executioner, who is in a series of novels from 1969.
Next on the list we got Green Arrow, similar to Batman but way more of a playboy. Oliver Queen was a multi-billionaire who didn't care about anyone but himself. He wanted to party and rub elbows with other elites and fill every one of his sinful desires. Then one of his co-workers tried to kill him after stealing $14 million from him. That sucks. The dude threw him in the ocean and all he managed to make it to a deserted island, and he might have died if it wasn't for his Boy Scout training. The dude knew how to survive in the wilderness and was able to find a broken down generator and use the parts to make a makeshift bow. Luckily for him, he was a skilled archer, and this would lead to him being able to hunt. The wild part of this story is that living off this island was probably the best time of his life, until he found a village that was killed by some drug smugglers. He then took out the smugglers and turned them over to the police. This was how he got his start in hero work. He would then come back to the world that he used to know and become one of the most powerful crime fighters ever, and team up with some of the best members of the Justice League, and even become a high-ranking member of the Justice League.
Number 3. The Sentry. Also known as Robert Reynolds. He was a drug addict who one day broke into a lab looking for the good stuff. He accidentally discovers the ultimate, however, remnants of the super soldier serum from the war, but the serum is now more powerful than ever. The serum causes him to sort of explode, killing his friend and completely destroying the lab. Then, in classic addict fashion, he finds the guy who was working on the serum and asks, "Can you make me some more?" Project Sentry allowed him to test his powers at their facility, but they couldn't contain his desire to use the powers for greater good. The Sentry eventually teams up with the New Avengers after Electro stages a massive jailbreak and sets about 90 supervillains free. When Carnage shows up and takes the fight to the next level, it's Sentry that grabs Carnage, flies him up into space, and rips him in half. Okay, so maybe Sentry is a little more higher than street level, but not a lot of people know when he started out, he was your typical street level guy, saving cats from trees, stopping bank heists, you name it. Number 2. She-Hulk. She-Hulk has some things in common with some others on this list. She's a lawyer like Daredevil, but was also shot by a mobster in the event that turned her into She-Hulk. Sorta like Frank Castle's origin. Being a Hulk, it goes without saying that Jennifer Walters is a powerhouse of a superhero. Although she does take part in the Secret Wars in 1984 and gets involved with the Avengers, she also has worked with the Heroes for Hire and spends plenty of time on the streets fighting crime. Her Hulk form has the proportionate strength of her human body, meaning as she continues to improve her physique, her Hulk form also becomes more powerful. She benefits from superhuman everything. Durability, speed, you name it. She-Hulk also has full control over her transformations, unlike Bruce Banner, but the upper limit of her strength is not as high. She is still, however, powerful enough to effortlessly lift the Thing with one arm.
Number 1 on the list is Mr. terrific. You can be a billionaire like Green Arrow and that's enough to be a great hero. But what if you're a billionaire and one of the smartest people who ever lived and also one of the best athletes ever? Mr. Terrific, also known as Michael Holt, is one of the smartest men alive, understanding quantum physics at the age of 6. He's an elite level athlete, winning multiple gold medals at the Olympics. He has more money than God. Well, he decided to use his knowledge and power to become one of the strongest street level heroes with a list of gadgets to rival Batman. This dude can turn invisible. He has magnetic balls that fly around and knock people out. He can fly, create holograms, create force fields. He's incredibly skilled with ballistic weapons. He's also good at hand-to-hand combat. He's got a keen eye for danger, and did I mention he has enough money to buy bottle service until the world turns to dust? Yeah, this dude is legit.